Hello, everyone. Welcome to Joe the Lawyer. Unexpectedly today, United States Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. May she rest in peace and Godspeed. I want to give a few of my thoughts on Ruth Bader Ginsburg and on her passing. As a practicing attorney for the last 7 years, I was in law school for 3 years before that. My profession, more so than most, puts the Supreme Court justices right there at the top. And if you think about it, look, I looked this up. All right. There's 9 Supreme Court justices. There are hundreds of congressmen and senators in total, and there's actually hundreds of billionaires in this country. So it's harder to become a Supreme Court justice than it is a senator, then a congressman, then a billionaire in the United States of America. They are a very rare breed, and when they get on that bench, as you well know, they are there for life. So this is a large event. I'm not sure it's as large politically as both parties will make it out to be. But I want to share some thoughts on Ruth Bader Ginsburg, on her impact on the country and on the legal profession as a whole. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Joe Pometto, a practicing Pittsburgh attorney. If you like my channel, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Here, there, and everywhere, I also go by Joe the Lawyer. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Let's look at a couple of biographical facts about her. She grew up in Brooklyn, New York, as part of what I understand was a middle class Jewish family. And she was the second woman to be appointed to the United States Supreme Court. Do you know who the first is? Do you know? Sandra Day O'Connor. She was appointed by Ronald Reagan, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg was appointed in 1993 by Bill Clinton. Now, I'm not the biggest when it comes to identity politics, but in 1993, it was a pretty big deal for a woman to be appointed to the United States Supreme Court. And again, she passed away unexpectedly today. So what are some of the things that make Justice Ginsburg special? And I guess the reason I'm doing this video is because she has penetrated the larger culture of America more so than most Supreme Court justices ever will. So to a large degree, she's a household name. But most people aren't going to be able to tell you who the other 8 justices are. Okay, some of them have received some media coverage for some bizarre reasons, okay, one reason or another, but even so, they have not penetrated the culture like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's even got her own nickname, the Notorious RBG. I believe that she is it's an awesome nickname, but I believe it's the only nickname for any of the Supreme Court justices. There's books about her, very, very interesting. So what are some of the things that make her interesting and fascinating and helped her maybe penetrate the culture to a greater degree? So I'm not really going to talk about her effect on the legal profession. I'm going to talk about why I think her meaning to the American people, why she penetrated the greater culture. And as I said, she was the second woman to serve on the court, not the first. But an interesting thing about Ruth Bader Ginsburg is her small stature, yet massive influence. Okay, you have this small, skinny-looking woman. All right, she's been old when she's been in the spotlight the last 10 years, yet at the same time, she wields tremendous power. And I believe that contrast makes her a very interesting person, right? Because if you saw her visually, you wouldn't think, wow, this is a giant of the legal profession, a giant of American politics, and frankly, American history at the end of the day, if you just see her like that. So that draws a fascinating contrast, okay, small person, very, very large effect and power. And I think that's one of the reasons that she sort of captured America's imagination. Um, the second part is her penmanship, her ability to be a writer, to write as an author. And this also plays into the first part, small woman, tremendous amount of power. The pen is mightier than the sword. In some of her opinions, her logic was stinging, extremely powerful, persuasive, and influential. And when she had something to say, she more or less let it rip. Okay. When a legal opinion is written, the majority of the court, for example, in the Supreme Court, you would have 5 justices would join together. One will write an opinion, and they all just say, okay, we're part of that opinion. Well, the 4 justices who disagree, they can do the same thing. They can write a dissent, a disagreeing opinion. Now, that doesn't become law, but it can set the basis for future law and future cases and state reasons why this portion of the court just does not agree. And sometimes dissents can be just as important and just as influential as the majority of opinion, which actually creates the law. But she wielded her pen like a sword. And it's truly a beautiful thing in the democracy. You know, in the United States of America and most democracies, and perhaps the most important part of a democracy, might give me some flack, or you can surely disagree with this, however, is the peaceful transition of power. The peaceful transition of power. When an election happens, why it's so important that elections are legitimate, so that the transfer of power can go down with a handshake, so that the transfer of power is not something that is fought over between differing factions within a country. You read ancient history, and you just see, this king was killed and the next king was killed. I mean, being a king was like a huge detriment to your life. It meant that you were a target and you were probably going to get killed. When you read the history of the Roman Empire, almost every emperor was murdered over a certain period of years. So the peaceful transition of power, but the rule of law goes with that, and respect for the law, so that when a law is passed, it becomes the law of the land and it's accepted by a majority of the people. And the Supreme Court is the supreme power when it comes to that. And she wielded that power greatly, and she used the power of words as an art form in order to influence the law and the greater culture. A lot of people think lawyers can't write, or they don't even understand that the attorneys are so involved in writing. I mean, that's what they do. The law school is basically like 3-year basic training on how to be a writer. And a lot of people, again, the general public, I think, doesn't understand that or realize that to a certain degree. Some people do, many people do. But people are sort of surprised if they find out, an attorney is, I mean, that's what attorneys do. They write. It's maybe the most writing intense profession in the country, outside of just being a writer, or maybe like a journalist. All right. But like the writing is just crazy. So she reached the top of her field in that ability. And then I think the third thing that she was known for was sticking to her principles, sticking to her guns. You may disagree with her ideas. You may be on the right and you disagree with her ideas that come from the left. Okay, well, someone on the left can disagree with someone on the right, but I think we all have a respect for people who believe strongly in their principles and stick to those principles and assert them loudly. And so I think she did that to a large degree. And because of that, it helped raise her status. She was seen as someone, as sort of a force on the left side of the political spectrum. So those are the things that stuck out to me, which make her so interesting, is her small stature, yet her massive influence, her ability to influence and wield power through the written word, okay, and then also her dedication to her principles. So even though I don't agree on everything, I think she was a great servant for this country. And I would say the same for Antonin Scalia. And a lot of the invective, anger that comes from one side of the aisle towards the other side of the aisle, let's have a day or two where we can set that aside. I understand that's, there, politics is going to be politics, but let's recognize the service. That's why I left out, I'm not going to go into her opinions or I liked her because she stood up for this right or that right, et cetera, et cetera. No, I think she penetrated the larger culture for those reasons that I stated before. And I think Antonin Scalia also, in a way, had seeped into the greater culture, maybe not to the same degree as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but I believe that he did. So I have much respect for both of them, both fantastic writers, and both of them are two of my favorite Supreme Court justices, even though I have disagreements with each of them when it comes to their actual opinions. So I just want to share, due to her passing, I want to share my thoughts on Ruth Bader Ginsburg, why I think she penetrated the larger culture. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm Joe Pometto, Joe the lawyer. I hope you also enjoyed my new flannel look, rocking the red flannel. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It's a great and free way to support my channel. If you share this video, I'll get more viewers. If you like this video, YouTube will catch me and promote me to more people. Thank you very much.